Hi, it's Tracy. Welcome to my home here in Sussex, England. How much can you change the look and feel of a room without actually redecorating it or buying lots of new things? Well, today I'm going to show you how I do that simply by rethinking and transforming what I already have. Last episode, I took you along to my favourite charity shop where we came across this huge French dresser for just £150. It was really quite a beast, 6 foot by 7 foot. And when you bring something this large into a home, invariably it means other pieces of furniture have to be shifted around. Now, I did a makeover on it. It was a very simple one, sanding and waxing. I very much put my own stamp on it. Now, at the same time, I was having my first bid on an online auction. I normally leave commission bids, and I won for £48 this huge chest of drawers. Again, another big piece of furniture that is going to have an impact on the house and where things live. The makeover on this piece again was relatively simple. There was a lot of sanding, there was painting, and of course, waxing. You're going to see a lot of waxing in this episode. It really is a super way to transform a piece. Once they were dry, they were into the house. And it was a case of, right, where are we going to position everything? So the big dresser was going to go on this wall here where the sideboard was, which meant the sideboard and the mirror had to come away. Dresser went in, and of course, requisite styling done. I was very, very pleased with the outcome, and thank you for the love on this from last episode. When furniture and accessories start to move around your home, you start to look at spaces differently. Now, in this bedroom, this is looking a bit dull, a bit boring. It hasn't really been touched since I did the big build here, which was back in 2018. So it's done well, but it needs a bit of vroom. In the ensuite here, we don't have any windows, so we have a sun tunnel, and that produces such lovely light. Now it's time to start moving furniture in this room. The cupboard that was there has gone down to my newly organised storage shed, all in last episode if you missed it. In this space, I took away the table that was there, again down to the storage shed. The big mirror was not going to work in that room anymore for what I had planned. So that went down outside onto my workbench. And of course, the wax came out. Now I use clear and I use dark because the clear acts as an eraser and it keeps control over the dark. Once that was thoroughly dry, it went to the top of the stairs where it sat very comfortably with my big gallery of mirrors as you come up the stairs. The sideboard, after a bit of a struggle, went up the staircase and into that position. We'll talk about that TV later. And the great big chest of drawers came into this spot. And then we did a little bit of styling. I used a wreath. I'd made that myself from whips from the field. Bruce came in. If you don't know Bruce, just tune into last episode. He is a plastic mannequin that I did my stone effect on. A pot, again, that had a stone effect on, had a Christmas garland all wrapped up to make it look like a plant. And that was coupled with a charity shop dish. This 6-drawer tall chest was originally pine, and then I did a stone effect on it, and I added some additional handles, and over time they've started to move around. It really annoys me, but I am a waste not, want not kind of gal, so the handles off the dresser we've just styled came onto here. let's go back outside and pull out something I bought many months ago. And I bought it originally for my son when he was moving into an apartment. It was just £20 from a charity shop. And I thought, well, I'll do a nice makeover on it for him. I brought it home. He took one look at it and he said, no, I can't have that. It reminds me of a mirror you'd see in a horror movie, the movie Annabelle. Well, I've never heard of that. Mind you, I don't watch horror movies. I get frightened at cartoon versions of Dracula. I'm using the chalk paint in a stabbing motion, a stippling if you like, in order to create texture. I don't want a smooth painted surface. I don't want to see brush marks. I want to create all the bobbliness, if you like, so the wax can sit in it and I can create an effect from there. It takes 2 coats to create that finish. And before I put the wax on, I do want to do a little bit of distressing, but I don't want to use sandpaper because that will just take away all that raised texture that I've created. So I find the simplest way is with a decorator's tool, and you can create all your little chippy marks and your scrapey back marks. Obviously, this is all personal taste. At the end of the day, you work with the colours and the finishes that suit your decor. I just do me. And you know the irony here? He pulled up on the drive when I'd just completed this and he said, oh, I really like that now. Well, darling, sorry, snooze you lose. It's living in my house for the foreseeable. Next up is this bedside chest of drawers. Now, this is a very old piece. My husband had this before we got together, and we've been together for 35 years. So I do get life out of pieces. I have painted it in the past several times. I've changed the hardware, and I think I'm going to change it again. I've got some leftover cup handles left. Not enough to do a set of 3, but, well, we'll live life on the wild side, won't we? And we'll do a little mix. Of course, the Annie Sloan is coming back out again, and this time I'm going to roller it. Remember, rinse and spin before you begin with your rollers. Always give them a little wash. Spin them round, it takes out any loose fibres. Now, whilst they were drying, I decided to pop down to the charity shop again. I go in about once or twice a week, and I couldn't believe these pots outside. I thought, oh my goodness me, I must have them. Except it had a sold ticket on. And I thought, well, is that one sold or all of them? I'll have to check inside. Well, there was quite a buzz of excitement going on. An Amazon production had just finished and the prop house had donated a lot of items because actually they're quite expensive to store. So, oh my goodness me, I was just whizzing round that store with the manager saying, well, what else did they bring in? What else did they bring in? I was giddy. Now, this sofa, it was huge. I have since found out that this cost the prop house £14,000. I would have scooped it up in an instant, but I've got nowhere to store something that huge. It did actually sell a few days later. They'd priced each section up individually. It was a modular sofa, and one person ended up buying the whole thing, so they got a bargain of a lifetime. So once I calmed down, I then went around the store again to see what normal things they had in. Let's have a little mooch. This one's not really normal. It's a World War One officer's camp bed. Don't think my son Giles would like these. Definitely look like they've come from a horror movie. Now, these basket light shades, they've been there for quite some time. Might be a little deal to be done there. Once the car was loaded up with my spoils, I went home a very, very happy bunny. These pots were just £25 each. Only one was sold, so that meant I could take the rest. Oh, happy days. These are Italian, well over €180 each. Film sets tend to buy really good quality faux stuff, if you like, because from 6 feet away, it looks amazing on camera. And you would never know that it wasn't a terracotta Tuscan pot. Yes, I got the sunflowers. Oh my goodness, I just love these, proper commercial grade. Now, these two lanterns here, they had them priced at £25 each, but the manager said to me, oh, I'll give you them for 25, both of them. So I thought, go on then, £12.50 each. I can do something with that. And look at the quality of these sunflowers. They are just amazing. Now, this is not in the bedroom decorating. These will be coming out probably next episode, which is going to be the start of my autumn styling. Now, the sunflowers had a bit of a skanky bottom. No worries. Nothing a pair of wire cutters can't sort, although they were quite thick, the wire. But we've got to store them somewhere, so we might as well do some visible storage. And they've just gone into a lovely big jar on a side table in the snug. And they make me smile every time I walk past them. Absolutely love them. Now, I have waxed that bedside table, so we'll leave that to dry. We're going to go back upstairs and we're going to work on this bed. This bed, again, was pre-me, so it's more than 35 years old. My husband had it. It's a pine bed. And yes, it has been painted many times. It's actually got chalk paint and white wax on it at the moment. So I'm just going to give it a little spruce with the two waxes. The transformative power of wax. This has literally cost pennies to do, and I did it in under 2 hours, and it's completely transformed it. The horror movie mirror is dry. I shouldn't really call it that, should I? The cheval mirror is dry, and it is back in the dressing room. Now, let's go back down outside to the bedside drawers, and we're going to attach our eclectic mix of handles. I've brought it into the room, but I'm not going to put the lamp back on the top until it's had a few more days to dry. So let's move over to the built-in wardrobes. Did these myself from just old doors I found online. I used a gate hinge. I sprayed everything in rust spray because that was my vibe at the time. And I glued that handle on that old door, but it's come off. So all the ironmongery is coming off apart from the hinges at the moment. My all-time favourite gold spray because it really does look like a brass. And the easiest way to spray your screws is just stick them in cardboard. Now to the hinges. I don't want to take them both off at the same time, so I'm just going to spray them up one at a time, and that way the door stays in position. So just a little bit of spray paint and it completely changes the feel of those doors. I'm not certain what I want to do with this Lloyd Loom chest here. I may reupholster it, I may change the paint colour. For the time being, I'm going to leave that till the end. This is currently a sock box for my husband. Yeah, he has a real sock issue. He's a sockaholic in denial. Now, this TV on here does not look great. I could be disingenuous and not put a TV there, maybe put a mirror on there, such as this £40 charity shop find, and pretend that that is how it's going to be. That is not the way that I decorate. I really do tell you the truth of everything that I do. And when the cameras are off, everything stays in the position that you have seen me put in it. Because otherwise, what is the point? What value am I bringing to your life if I don't show you how things can work practically in a day-to-day setting? And I hate it when creators do that. I see them put things in certain positions and I know for a fact the minute those cameras are off, they're going to move it. Anyway, that's a very long-winded way of telling you I'm not going to use this mirror here because if I sit that TV in front of it, you're going to see all the gubbins behind. So how do we soften that TV and make it work? Well, the first thing I'm going to do behind the TV is pop one of my fake yucca plants in. I have quite a few of these. And by positioning it behind the TV, it's not going to impede the vision. Now, I want to put something else onto the wall, so I've come down to my newly organised storage shed. All in last episode, I've got to say, I am so delighted I have done this because now I know where everything is and I can find exactly what I'm looking for. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. Now, you may remember this from earlier. It's the mirror that lived above the sideboard. Now, I want to just tweak it slightly so it works in the bedroom. I thought this was going to be a super quick job. Turns out the mirror won't just pop out. There is a lot of mirror glue in there. But how to mask a round mirror? Bertie knows. He's saying, get the playing cards out, love. So these are just old playing cards. I've cut some newspaper, just loosely laid it on. And then you just slide the cards underneath all the way around. Now, when I spray, it could cause them to lift slightly, so I use a little bit of masking tape to keep it all in position. Now, the moment of truth, is there any paint on that mirror? Oh, I think not. Happy smug face. And the great thing is you can keep the cards to use again, or the other side's not damaged, so you can play with them. Now, to hang the mirror, I'm going to use my preferred little gadget, the Grip It. If you saw me hang all the mirrors in the hallway, you know I use so many of these on plasterboard walls. They're fabulous. Little metal fins just spin out and makes it really secure. These two vases have lived on this shelf for quite some time. They're the perfect size for it, so I'm going to give them a little facelift. We're going with the wax, but this time we're going to be adding some cinnamon. And why are we adding cinnamon? I have absolutely no idea. I just fancy doing something a little bit different. And this is the thing, experiment. Just enjoy it. You know, what is the worst that can happen? You could save yourself lots of money by not having to go out and buy new accessories. Just convert the ones you've already got. love this fella that I got years ago when I was in my grey phase. I got him from Home Sense. Bit too grey for me now. Oh, boys, you're meant to be supervising. They do this really rough play, and then the next minute, they're just laid like angels. Anyway, my little man is going to have a little bit of a wax. Now, I was looking for the furry supervisors. I couldn't find Bear. Here is Bertie sunbathing out on the house veranda. Are you going to come and help me design the bathroom? Anytime soon would be good, Bertie? Nope. So my original intention was to cover this wall with mirrors. So I measured it all out, ready to lay them on the ground. And then I remembered one that I'd got some time ago. £20, pine, over mantle, painted grey. And then I had a different idea. It's okay to keep changing your mind. Let a space talk to you, inspire you. There is a mirror hanging there. Now, this was actually left in the house when we first bought it. I have done a paint effect on it before, but I think I can do something with that. I've also pulled out one of the torchères that I use all the way around the house. I've got several of them. I picked these up at auction. As you can see, I've done many previous paint jobs on that. This is one that you saw me probably a couple of years ago now find in a shop and haul, and then did a textured paint effect. I'm often in these little charity shops looking for quirky pieces, ordinary pieces, things that I don't necessarily know where they're going to go, but I think, well, in this example, £5 for the pair, I will be able to do something with that at some stage. And a tray, I'm always picking up trays because they're so useful, and particularly at £5. Time to change these accessories so they will work in the bedroom. These are old brass Great Western Railway lamps. They would be on the sides of the carriages. £5 for a pair is an exceptionally good deal. To get rid of all the old candle wax, I've got a bucket of hot soapy water, take them all apart. I take off as much of the wax as I possibly can, and then leave them to soak for a few hours. Then all that waxy water goes onto my drive and not down my drains. Now with the tray, I thought I'd just do a little bit of a clean up, sand, take off any runs, any spills. And then I noticed when I was sanding, it started to create a lovely effect. So I did some creative sanding. Oh, hello, I'm loving you. Sand and wax, no paint needed. My original plan, I'm going to change my original plan now, don't you? My original plan was just to paint this over mantle mirror. So I set about taking the old paint off the mirror, and then I got a little bit carried away with the sander. I decided to leave some of the paint on. I did just a little test area, which I'd always advise if you're doing something new, to see what the wax would look like on the pine. It's quite an old pine. So it all turned out really rather spiffingly well, and not a bit like I'd originally planned. And as for loo roll storage, I used a potato box. And even the bin wasn't spared a transformation. The most focal point in any bedroom is the bed. So you really want to pay attention to what you put on there. In the master bedroom here, I have this wonderful botanical print that I bought some months ago. It was from Marks and Spencer's. I ordered it. It never arrived. They apologized profusely and gave me a refund. A few weeks later, it turned up. I rang them and they said, sorry for all the inconvenience, keep it. I then found out who manufactured it and went onto their website, and they were having a clearance sale. I got this one for £25. The full price is £130. Now, I've got 6 beds here to dress. I always size up my duvets. So I've got 3 king duvets and then I've got 3 super king duvets. So it means that I can move the bedding around from room to room according to size. Now, I'm thinking this print is very autumnal. We're not quite there with autumn yet. So this was another one that I got reduced. Bearing in mind full price £130, but they are quality. I have no association with this company or with Marks and Spencer, so I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I am just giving a few tips on what to look for. Look for really good quality and then try and get it cheaper. On the website, I also found this one reduced. Now, this is slightly different because it's a bedspread with a couple of sham pillow covers, but it was originally £205. It's brilliant quality. I got it for £49 in the sale. Now, because this could work on any of my 6 beds, I did actually buy 2 of these. And I'm thinking the colour for winter in here would work beautiful with the box and with the wardrobes there. Now, in order to avoid postage, I needed to spend £10 more. And in their clearance, they had a pair of curtains for £10. I ordered them. And I thought, wow, the quality is amazing. I don't really use curtains, but what I do is make cushion covers. These will be out on the verandas next summer. And the bags that the bedding comes in, take a little snip of them, put them in your handbag, and when you're out shopping, then you can colour match. Time to get everything put together. Now, which one would you have chosen for this room? Same as me, maybe? It's quite summery-esque, this one. I think this one will be ideal for spring into summer. These cushions came out of my son's apartment. He's brought everything to store with me because he's now quit that place. I call this visible storage. I'm such a short little person. In order to reach that area, I'm going to have to pull the bed out and then I can just about get things on there. This is another object that I've done my stone effect on. It actually got damaged. So rather than throw it away, I hid all the brokenness with the faux stone. I never grow tired of decorating with vintage books. I'm popping a real candle into here. It is colour coordinated and it is purely decorative because as the nights draw in, I will then switch these out and put in remote control faux ones. As I said to you before, I will always tell you the truth about how I'm decorating. Now, are you touching up your hydrangeas at the moment? You need to be out there giving them a bit of a feel because they are on the turn here. Once they get that waxy, papery feel, clip them off, bring them in, and they will dry super quick. Some of my mop head hydrangeas are on the turn as well. So with this one, I've snipped it off, pulled the leaves off, and I'm just going to balance it in this vase without any water and it will dry back naturally. Faux stone baubles. These are made from old cheap Christmas decorations. Got diddly squat to do with bedrooms, but I just like the texture. Now we need to pimp up the sideboard a little bit, and I think the tray is going to be ideal. My husband uses this room very much as his dressing room and his bathroom. I'm a princess, darling. I will not share. I think with 35 years of marriage, it proves my point that if you can, have separate dressing rooms and bathrooms. Sometimes even bedrooms. Now he can pop his coffee cup on there when he's getting ready on a morning without staining my sideboard. That's a whole other conversation. In the autumn, this will be a remote control candle. This is more stone and it's an old Christmas ornament. It was all sparkly and silver and now it's not. Onto the heated towel rail, I will pop a towel. You will note I've got two colours of towels there. This is again visible storage. Thank you, Giles. The shelves are made from an old tree that we had to take down, so it was a really practical way to create the shelving. Now, I want to put something on that torchère. I want to make a statement. And again, this is a courtesy of Giles. Can you store my faux palms? Oh, yes, darling, Mummy can. I love this huge statement in here. The actual covers, I created them for him out of old cushion cases and just cut the zips off and tied them with sisal string. But unfortunately, it is blocking too much light. So I've been told I have to remove them and do something smaller. Now, these yuccas are 4 foot tall, but you know, that is still smaller. Oh well, gotta let the light in, I suppose. It's not my bathroom. In this house, the true test of the success of a design is down to the furry supervisors. And I think we can safely say in this case, they approve.